On live TV, she said, "I'm grateful for the man who truly satisfies me." And he walked on stage. Do you know what it feels like to have your heart stop in front of millions of people? To watch the woman you thought you knew better than anyone turn her head toward the spotlight and thank another man as if you didn't even exist? I don't mean heartbreak in the quiet, private way where you curl up in your room with the blinds closed. No, I mean heartbreak with cameras pointing at you, with the world clapping, laughing and hashtagging your humiliation before you even have time to process what happened. That night changed everything for me, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Up until then I thought betrayal was something whispered, hidden, kept in the shadows. I never imagined it could be broadcast live, under bright studio lights, with applause echoing like a drumbeat against my skull. Let me take you back. She was a guest on this talk show, nothing massive, just one of those evening programs where celebrities and influencers sit on plush chairs and talk about their careers, their relationships, their journeys. She wasn't a superstar, but she was climbing, an author, a speaker, the kind of woman who could charm a crowd with a single smile. I was proud of her. I'd been with her through the late nights when she doubted herself, through the tears when publishers said no, through the sacrifices we made to give her the space to shine. I thought this was our victory, not just hers. The producers told me I could sit in the audience. I did, front row clapping like an idiot, when they introduced her. She looked stunning, confident, poised, radiant in that way that makes you forget the cracks beneath the surface. At first the questions were innocent. What inspired your latest book? How do you handle the pressure of fame? She gave perfect answers, humble yet sharp, making the audience laugh, making them fall in love with her. I watched her, my chest swelling with pride. I thought, that's my woman. That's who I've built a life with. And then the host leaned in, smiling with that mischievous grin TV hosts are paid to have. Tell us, he said, who's the man behind your success? The one who keeps you going, the one who truly satisfies you. I expected her to say my name. I was ready. I even sat up straighter, bracing myself for the camera to pan to me. My heart was pounding, not with fear but with excitement. This was it, the moment she'd acknowledge me, the man who had held her up through it all. But she smiled, looked straight into the lens and said, "I'm grateful for the man who truly satisfies me." The audience erupted in cheers. I grinned, waiting for her to say it. My name. But then out of the corner of the stage, a man walked out. Not me, him. I didn't know his name then, but I knew his face. I'd seen it in the margins of her life, in photos from business trips, in comments on her social media posts, in the way her eyes lit up when his name appeared on her phone. I had dismissed it before, told myself I was being paranoid, jealous, insecure. But now here he was walking on stage, arms wide open, as the crowd clapped like they were watching some grand romantic surprise. He hugged her. She kissed his cheek, and I sat there, my mouth dry, my world collapsing in front of strangers who thought they were witnessing love. The host made some joke about how lucky she was, about how lucky he was, and the crowd laughed. I didn't laugh. I couldn't even breathe. The cameras didn't catch me, thank God. But the people around me noticed. Some glanced at me whispering. One woman touched my arm gently, as if to say, "I'm sorry, sorry," as if that word could fix anything. The rest of the show was a blur. He stayed on stage, holding her hand, nodding proudly, as she talked about her journey. They smiled at each other like teenagers, and all I could think was, that was supposed to be me. That was my place. That was my name. She should have said. When the cameras cut and the applause died down, I didn't storm the stage. I didn't shout or cause a scene. I walked out quietly, my fists shoved deep into my pockets, my head buzzing with humiliation. She didn't call me that night. Not even to explain, not even to lie. She didn't text. She didn't send some half-hearted apology. She went silent. And in that silence, I realized the truth. That wasn't a mistake. That wasn't some slip of the tongue. That was her choice. She wanted the world to know him, not me. The days after were worse. Clips of the show went viral. Headlines screamed about the surprise guest, about the man who truly satisfies her. People online dissected it like it was a rom-com plot twist. They didn't know I existed. To them I was invisible. To her, I was disposable. But invisibility has its uses. When no one sees you, no one expects you. And when no one expects you, you can move without being noticed. That was when the fire inside me changed. It wasn't heartbreak anymore. It wasn't humiliation. It was resolve. If she wanted to erase me, I'd make sure her story wasn't as perfect as the cameras made it seem. I didn't lash out. Not yet. I started small. I started with questions. Who was he? Really? What did he have that I didn't? And more importantly, what did he not have that I could use against him? I dug. I listened. I watched. And the more I uncovered, the more I realized something. The man who walked on stage wasn't the knight in shining armor she wanted everyone to believe. He had cracks. He had secrets. And if I played this right, those secrets would be the very thing that pulled them both down. I remember sitting alone in my apartment, the TV replaying that clip for the 100th time, her words echoing in my head. I'm grateful for the man who truly satisfies me. My jaw clenched. My hands shook. But my mind was calm. Because now, finally, I knew what I had to do. And the best part, she had given me the stage. The story wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I walked out of that studio like a man sleepwalking through a nightmare. The city lights blurred. Horns honked. People brushed past me. But I wasn't there. I was replaying it again and again in my head. The moment she looked at the camera, smiled, and said she was grateful for the man who truly satisfied her. And then him, striding on stage like a king, like he'd earned the right to be celebrated, while I sat in the front row like a forgotten extra in the story I thought was mine. The internet made sure I couldn't escape it. The clip went viral. People laughed, cried, shared it with captions about true love and power couples. My phone buzzed non-stop, not with her apology, because that never came, but with messages from friends, colleagues, even strangers. Some didn't know what to say. Others did. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve that. Are you okay? No, I wasn't okay. But I wasn't broken either. I was something else. Something colder, sharper. Because betrayal like that doesn't just hurt. It reshapes you. It carves out the soft parts. And leaves behind edges. And those edges cut. She went silent on me for days. Not a word. Not even the decency to lie. Which told me everything. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't some media stunt gone wrong. It was deliberate. She'd chosen him. She'd chosen to erase me. And she'd done it live, in front of millions. But here's the thing about erasing someone. You can't erase what they know. I knew her. Better than anyone. I knew her flaws, her secrets, her weaknesses. And I knew that the man she had crowned on stage wasn't the saint the world thought he was. He had skeletons. Everyone does. The difference was, I had nothing left to lose. The first thing I did was watch. From the shadows, quietly, I studied them. Her and him. The power couple, plastered all over magazines and talk shows. They posted photos together, smiling with their perfect teeth, holding hands like they were in some fairy tale. But photos don't show the cracks. Cracks reveal themselves in the pauses, the looks, the things left unsaid, and I could see them, clear as day. One night, after another interview of hers went viral, I got a message, not from her, from someone else, a producer who'd been backstage that night. He'd seen me in the audience, seen the way her words hit me like a punch, and he'd also seen the way the man on stage looked at her. Possessive, not loving. He told me, they're not what they seem. Be careful. Careful. No, careful was what got me here. Careful was what let her humiliate me. I didn't need careful. I needed precise. So I started gathering. Proof. Receipts. Small things at first. Financial trails. Late-night photos. Whispers from people who knew him. He wasn't clean. He wasn't even close. Gambling debts. Shady business deals. Women who weren't her. He was a storm waiting to break. And she was blind. Or maybe she wasn't. Maybe she knew and didn't care, as long as the cameras kept flashing, and the applause kept coming. But the higher she climbed on that lie, the harder the fall was going to be, and I was going to make sure everyone watched. It wasn't about revenge at first. Not exactly. It was about reclaiming myself, about showing her and the world that I wasn't invisible, that I wasn't just the man sitting in the audience, while she praised someone else. The first step was subtle. I leaked a photo. Not to the press. Not yet. To her. A photo of him. Late at night. slipping into a car with a woman who definitely wasn't her. I didn't say a word. I just sent it. Her reply came minutes later. Who sent you this? Not this can't be true. Not that's impossible. Just panic. That told me everything. She called me the next day. Her voice was shaky, softer than I'd heard in months. Why are you doing this? She asked. Doing what? I said calmly. You made your choice. I'm just making sure you see it clearly. She hung up, but I knew she was rattled. And rattled people make mistakes. The next move came a week later. They were scheduled for another live appearance, this time together. I knew the format. I knew there'd be a Q&A segment, so I made sure someone in the audience had the right question prepared. How do you trust each other with so much attention from the public? He smiled, gave some rehearsed answer about loyalty and love. She nodded along, forcing that perfect smile. And in that moment, the person I'd planted in the audience stood up and said, "Then can you explain this photo?" and held up a printout of him with the other woman. Chaos, gasps, cameras flashing. She went pale. He stammered. The host scrambled to cut to commercial, and I sat at home, watching it unfold, sipping my drink with the calm of a man who finally knew he wasn't powerless. The fallout was immediate. Headlines shifted overnight, from power couple goals to scandal rocks rising stars roam. The internet tore them apart, the same way it had once idolized them. And she didn't call me this time. She couldn't, because now, she was too busy trying to hold together the image she had built on lies. But here's the thing about lies. Once they crack, they don't stop. More photos surfaced, more stories. The man she had praised on live TV crumbled under the weight of his own secrets. And with him, so did she. Her career took the hit. Invitations dried up. Sponsors pulled out. The same producers who once begged her to appear stopped answering her calls. And me, I didn't gloat. I didn't post about it. I stayed quiet, because nothing is louder than silence. When someone expects you to scream. Weeks later, she showed up at my door. No cameras this time. No perfect hair or flawless makeup. Just her. Tired, broken, smaller. Somehow. She stood there for a long moment, before whispering, "I shouldn't have done that to you. I thought he was everything I wanted. I was wrong." I let her stand there, let her words hang in the air. And then I said, "You weren't wrong. You just didn't realize what you already had." She cried. She begged. But I didn't invite her in. Because here's the truth. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone. Sometimes it's about walking away when they're already in ruins, leaving them to face the wreckage they created. She turned, walked down the hall and didn't look back. And me, for the first time since that night on live TV, I felt something I hadn't in months. Not anger, not grief, freedom. Because the man she said truly satisfied her. He satisfied nothing. He exposed everything. And in the end, I didn't need to take the stage to win. The spotlight destroyed her all on its own.